Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament, the Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katusabe.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard. Welcome to another edition of the Pan-African Pyramid Show here at Fairway Hotel. My name is Andrew Irumba Katusabe, your speaker. We are dealing with youth unemployment in Africa versus employable skills in the 21st century. What are those skills a student must have so that you actually attract an employer, or you should be having employable skills? The current statistics show that Niger has the youngest population in the world. That means Africa has the youngest population in the world. But Uganda has the second youngest population in the world. Actually, more than 3/4, that's about 78% of Uganda's citizens, or Uganda's population, are below the age of 35. And this youthful population is projected to double in the next 25 years. The unemployment rate for the young people in Uganda today stands at 83%. And I'm also glad that yesterday the president said that 80% of Ugandans today are illiterate. It means 80% of Ugandans can now read and write. So it means there is a very tremendous increase in elitism. In other words, we have more educated people now standing at 80%. So, but there is a debate on whether this young population that make Uganda, the 83% that make Uganda, this young population, there's a debate on whether they actually have employable skills. Yes, you're educated, but are you the workforce that the employer is looking for? Or can you actually create employment and even employ your colleagues, your comrades, your fellow youth? So education, yes, you have appreciated. 80% of Ugandans today are educated. But now, the entire population, 83% or 78% of those are 35, below 35 years. That means those are the youth. But the employment rate is 83%. I want you to understand these statistics very well. You are very educated. 80% of you are educated. But the employment rate is 83%. So what is the problem? The problem could be that the education you are having probably is not skilling you enough, first of all, to get jobs. But secondly, it's not skilling you enough to be a job creator. So you remain with your education, but education that cannot be employable. You are not employable, you don't have employable skills. Neither do you have even employment skills. You cannot create your own job and also employ other people. So let's discuss tonight, how do we as youth of Africa, as Ugandans, how do we deal with that issue of unemployment in Uganda? And I'm glad that among the people who have joined us tonight, one of them, our main panelist tonight, is Dr. Nkambwe. Dr. Nkambwe, if you could give him a round of applause. Dr. Nkambwe is a lecturer at Makerere University Business School, MUBS, in the Department of Entrepreneurship. So let's hear how far that department has actually skilled the youth of Uganda. And also, the other colleague is Madam Nkambwe, who is also a MUBS lecturer, Faculty of Computing and Informatics. She will be joining us later. I'm told she's caught up in jam.
Before we go in further, we first of all need to look at the unemployment rate at world at large, because we cannot confine ourselves as Africans, because we live in a global environment, not global village, where somebody in Europe knows what happens here where we are now, if we are live in streaming, and you may be knowing what is happening there. So first of all, we need to understand or actually appreciate the population worldwide. when you look at the world today, the population has reached 80 billion people. 80 billion people. And all of us, we are fighting for a given bread, which we must share. So as we look at some of these countries, for instance, China has been leading the population, but today, actually recently, India has taken over. Because India now today it stands at 1.42 billion people, as China stands at 1.425 billion people. But when you look at Africa, I say, our population is 1.4 billion people.
I beg your pardon. India is 1.4 billion people.
India is 1.428 billion people.
Then China?
China stands at 1.425 billion people. But Africa per se as a continent, it has 1.4 billion people.
Africa?
Yes. As of yesterday, June 15th, 2023.
So in other words, if you want Africa, you just get one China.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this translates to 16.7% of the world population. This translates to 16.7% of the world population. But
Africa's population translates to 16%.
16.7% of the world population. Yes.
So 16% of the world population is in Africa.
Yes.
Oh.
So, what is worrying, or what is making us happy, is that as of 2023, Africa has registered 46.4 million new births or newborns. As of this year, this is today, 16th June. So Africa has registered 46.4 million newborns. That means that half a year, we have 46.4 million newborns. Wow. But when you look at the world population, where we say that the world population is 8 billion today, but the youth stands at 1.2 billion people. 1.2 billion people are youth. So Africa, for that case, has more than 400 million youth. The reason why we're trying to come up with such statistics, we want to compare, contrast, and be able to draw strategies to see that we can move from where we are to the next level. So when you look at the world at large, India has the highest number of youth below 35 years, and its population is 808 million people, which translates to 66% of the India's population. Remember, we said India, the whole population starts at 1.428 billion people, but their youth stands at 808 million people, which translates to 66% of their population. So India sits in the first place with the largest number of youth in the world, followed by China, obviously. But when you come to our motherland, Africa, Nigeria stands in the 6th place with 70% of its population are youth below 30 years. But remember, Nigeria, its population stands at 221 million people. You see the catastrophe where it comes from. So the population is high in African countries. The youth are many, but the question comes, where are we getting employed? Look at our motherland, let's say Uganda. Uganda, currently we have 47 million people, but 77% of these are youth. that means that all of us will fall under that category. So my question, or my worry, and also your worry could be, if 78 or 77% of our population in Uganda are youth, what are we going to do for these youth to be able to be meaningful? You know, when you look at Africa today, at large, there are various strategies which have been put up by various countries to curb this unemployment rate. But most of these strategies have not been successful. Why? The answer is very simple. Most of these youth have gone to school, or should have gone to school, but you are unemployable. That's the answer. So in our sharing today, our conclusion will lie on the common employable skills, which we must put in place, or which we must put in the students or youth of today, so as to prepare them to be employable. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, employment is in three terms. We have self, where you can start your own business. We have formal, where you can get a job somewhere. And there is informal. We have people who are employed, but they are not registered. You know, you are against what they do. Just ensure you start your business, the business must be registered. But there are those who don't register their businesses and they operate informally. But even though such are there, and we have seen that 77% of Uganda's population are youth, and we have seen that Africa has more than 400 youth out of the 1.2 billion people, 1.2 billion youth in Africa. So where are we as people, and where are we going, and what can we do so as to be able to look like other youth in other countries who have been innovative, who are employable? We have seen that statistics are high. And as I said, that some countries have come up with various strategies, but these strategies, they have not been successful. Let us come back here at home, Uganda. The government has put up various strategies. Various programs have been put in place. Youth livelihood program, yoga, now the Spanish model. But me as a student of entrepreneurship and project, my worry is that, actually, I always tell people that, yes, the government has put up all those strategies, but they are in wrong hands. They are in wrong hands. Why? This is the answer. If you put something, or actually any program or any project to elevate people from poverty, and you put it in the hands of people who are not poor, who have never suffered, that means that it cannot yield fruits. Yeah. Let me give you an example today. You see, Uganda is very interesting. And me always tell my students that Uganda is very interesting. Everything can happen in Uganda and somebody can walk away with it. Before the parish model was launched, money was already eaten. This is the truth, because the president said it. I don't talk rumors. No, I talk facts. So what can we do as youth of today? Let us don't look at the government, Etuyambe, as the one people use in quotes. No. Let us look at ourselves. We have gone to school, we can command the language, and we can think independently. Let us sit down, think, what can I do as an individual? Where is my potential? You know, each and everyone has an ability in a given area. But our weakness is that we have failed to know ourselves. We have failed to know ourselves. That's why I find that most of the youth today They sometimes they are employed somewhere or in some organizations, but they fail to work in those organizations. I think like last year, I was with a colleague of mine. As I said, I'm an entrepreneurship person and a specialist in project. We have a project, and what we found out is that most of the youth, when they are given this money, somebody has never got, let's say, 10 million. What do you expect that person to do if somebody gets 10 million? Automatically, the person will first satisfy his desires. Say, I saw the other Peter with a good shirt. Let me also get a good shirt. Oh, now I'm in 30 years. I wish I would marry. Someone will go and marry. Me, the simple methodology is that if such money is there to take youth out of poverty, can we get that money and get those firms or those organizations which are operational and we give them that money? We attach the youth to those organizations. They get skills, soft skills. If let's say people want tailoring, can people be taken to, let's say, there are some small firms here, like let's say Christmas design, they do tailoring. Yeah. If let's say it's liquid soap, can take them to those farms which do liquid soap, or paint, can we take them there, so that you get hands-on skills, because we are tired of theory. You know, today, I'm happy with what the Ministry of Education has done. We are moving away from the old curriculum we studied as to a new curriculum in the lower secondary, where each and every child or every student there must have a project. Meaning that you must learn something which is hands-on. If it's baking, you must know how to bake. You know, some of these products we use here in Uganda, in those times in China, or actually in Turkey also, they're just made from homes. They are handmade. But for us here in Africa, we just wait to receive. Can we move away from there and be able to create employment? Formal, yes, if you have that opportunity, you can go formal. Informal, it's okay. You can go weld. Do you know how many people are building today in Uganda? There are very many. If you can do the welding well, people will run to you. You will make a lot of money, more than a person who is formally employed in an organization where they pay him or her 500,000 shillings. Yeah? Do you know that so many people who are formally employed, they are just disguised employed?
Why?
Because those people, they are indebted throughout. The money they get from those organizations, that money cannot sustain them up to the end of the month. It's like an injection. At the end of the month, you get an injection. It takes you up to 15 days, like today 16. I bet most of people who are formally employed as of now,
Putting on ties and suits.
yes, they don't have money in their pockets.
Do you have money?
I do. They don't have money in their pockets. Why? Because they are employed, they fall under category of disguised employment. The employment they have cannot give them the money which can sustain them at least up to the end of the month. It's like an injection. As for getting broke, then you are getting worse at the end of the month, then they give you another injection. So I'm not saying that formal employment is bad. Quote me well. But you can do better than formal employment. Do you know why up to today people seek contract in government parastatals or government institutions. Somebody clocks 60 and wants a contract just because somebody is used to that kind of life. But when you go the other way around, you can do better. You have a business, you are entrepreneurial in nature, you can employ yourself, and then also employ others. So this is where Africa and Uganda, we must go. Can we make the young generation get those skills which can make them employ themselves, which can make them entrepreneurial in nature? Yeah? That is where we must focus. That is where each and everyone must look at. That's why the Ministry of Education and the higher their side of which controls the education in Uganda, they instituted what they call field attachment, so that students can get a feel of what transpires in the field. But now for us in the business school, we are trying to reverse, actually we are trying to run away from that side. We are instituting what we call mentorship and coaching.
Mentorship and
coaching. Where each student in year one,
instead of teaching, you are mentoring.
It's part of the curriculum. Where each student in year one gets or actually comes up with a business idea. And that business idea is nurtured right from year one up to third year. And for us, we are saying that by third year, a student must be having a running and profitable business, so that that person, if possible, can also employ
other people.
In
other words, every student in the coming years,
yes,
for you, by the time you reach the third year,
yes,
someone must have a
running business, which is profitable.
It's going to be mandatory.
Mandatory. If you don't have that business, you will not be able to graduate. Yes, because that means that it's an exam. It's an exam. It's a paper we must pass. Yes. Why? Because we want to run away from that habit of where so many people are out there. They finish their degrees. They pay. Remember, parents pay a lot of money. Afterwards, people come out. Then they go to the streets. They start betting, they start work, they start crying, government triage. How will the government help you? All of you.
So what if, because they know every business in Uganda to start it, you must have some money. So what if that student doesn't have money? Is the university willing to inject in some money? Because yes, you may want me to start a business, I have the idea, you don't have the capital.
Actually,
some people say capital is the head. Yes, the head now knows how to do something, but that material is going to be bought by money.
Actually, I'm talking about something which is new, but in our department, those students in year 2 who are going to year 3 now, we are piloting with them that each student must come up with a business idea. Yes, you are talking about you cannot afford capital. But you can, let's say you can make your hair. How much is hairdressing today in Uganda? At least you must part with 50,000. Somebody said 65,000.
Yeah, but then the materials to use in hairdressing, first of all, needs money.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm saying, if that is the university program, then there should also be a program to fund some of the students.
Actually, in future we are planning to get to partner with various funders so as we can uplift that. But it's in the initial stages, though I had to talk about it so as to make these people think and see where we are going as a country. Because knowledge is created, and knowledge is created in universities, not anywhere else. And it's these universities to come up with these new innovations. Though in Uganda, it has been the reverse. But now we are looking out, we are taking another step. How can we come back to where we must be? So in that perspective, ladies and gentlemen, the unemployment rate is too high. Yeah. For instance, when you look at some of the African context, for instance, when you look at Africa by this year, by the first 3 months of 2023, the unemployment rate was at 32.9%. 32.9%. That's Africa. When you look at North Africa per se, it was at around 11.9%. When you look at Kenya, it was around 4.9%. As well in Tanzania, it was at 2.6%. But in our motherland here in Uganda, statistics show that by 2021, the unemployment rate was at 4.3% in general. But due to the effects of COVID, all of us we know, it must have gone very, very high. Because even those people who are employed, they are no longer, some are no longer employed as a result of COVID. Also, those people who are working for other people in town, in those arcades, because of the COVID effect, people shifted from towns to these suburbs. And some youth also got unemployed. So, with such rigor, or with such statistics of unemployment in the African context, in the East African context, as well as Uganda, as youth of today, how can we make ourselves employable? How is to develop the employable skills? Employable skills, in this case, we can talk about things to do with, let's say, soft skills. Yeah? Do you know that some of the youth today cannot even greet a boss or actually the boss or actually the supervisor when they meet in the corridor? Do you know that youth of today can even fail to convince a customer to buy a product? That means that some youth of today, they lack communication skills. So if you want to be employable, we must be able to communicate. What are you selling? Why should I buy from you, not from your competitor? Because we have a small market. All of us were targeting a small market. But what must attract me to buy from you, not from the other? From the other.
Communication skills.
So you must communicate. Yeah. Also, you must be able to be a problem solver. You must have those problems solving skills. Problems can be in various ways. Maybe it can be social. Do you know in the community where you come from, there are so many problems? Yeah? You may find that, let's say, in the village where you come from, maybe people take their kids to faraway schools because they are not good kindergartens around. That's a social problem. Do you know that so many people actually made a lot of money during COVID?
Yes.
Because of providing solutions to the social problems or social challenges. So where are we at the youth of today?
In other words, you must become a problem solver.
Yes.
Not a crier.
We should stop crying for government to happen. Because the government cannot come to your book and bring money and put it in your pocket.
But even the government itself must be helped.
It has its own problems.
That's why it is always crying to the international community.
Yes. And you people, let me tell you another thing. Not like there are some things I like with our president. One day he said, I remember, I don't remember that year very well. One day he said, if those who don't want to give us their money, let them still their money. We shall continue. It was a strong statement.
About LGBT.
Yes. It was a strong statement to those people who are knowledgeable like us. But it made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense. If let's say they are saying X, what, take up XY, and for us we are not to take up XY, let us be there. We shall develop local solutions to our problems. Can you ask yourself, the government pays for so many people every year in universities, but what goes for either? Also crying government at young after paying tuition.
That's a warning.
Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, we must wake up as youth of today that we must develop those skills of problem solving. You should not be there to cry every time and then. Also, we must develop leadership skills. Yeah? You must come together and build a team and be able to prosper the next level. You will not develop as an individual. You might find that when you look at
teamwork.
Yes, there must be teamwork. When you look at most of these big organizations which are making a lot of profits, none of them were started by an individual. It was a team of 2 people or more, and then now they are doing well. Also, you must be willing to learn. You know, youth of today, the phones have become phones. You can be there and somebody doesn't talk to you for the whole journey.
They're on phone.
They're on phone. And movies have come movies. You can go and play, somebody watches a movie, this one ends, the other one comes, puts on another one. For a journey of 8 hours, you have not talked to each other. Yeah? But do you know that the person was taken, do you know that the capability of the person was taken away? Maybe he has something unique which
it is what you have been looking for.
Yes. If you share with that person for the fight of 8 hours or 2 hours, you may be able to learn. So you must be willing to learn. If you are not willing to learn, you cannot be employed and you cannot employ other people because you cannot start your own business in that way.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, today's topic is a very, very interesting topic. A topic that is talking about the population that is energetic, that is dominant, that is educated. This is the population you are underrating, Mr. Speaker. When you are talking about youth employment and unemployment, the youth unemployment is not an African challenge. It's a global challenge. Mr. Speaker, sir, the rate of population growth globally is at 0.9% per annum. And if you look at the graph of population growth, it is waning. But in Africa, it's a blessing. Because if you look at these strongest economies in the world, like the USA, China, and Asia, the more you have the biggest population, the more the market. Now today, we want to change your mind. How do you see this growth as an opportunity in terms of business? That's why we're here, Mr. Speaker. The youth in Africa is composing of about 450 million people. And there is a projection by 2030, the young Africa,
the youth in Africa?
Yes, are composing 450 million people.
Okay.
The young people.
Okay.
The projection by 2030, the young Africans are expected to make 42% of the world's youth population. In Uganda here, my colleague said it, 77% of Ugandan population, they are under 25 years of age. Now, Mr. Speaker, sir,
I think they are 35 years, not 25.
here the graph I have is saying 25. But you see, according to UN, of course, 35 is the recognized age, age limit for the youth. But of course, we have people who are in 40s in parliament
and they also
representing the youth. So, in Africa, it's very common. So even telling someone, asking him or her the age, it's like a crime, it's like making a statement at the police station. Now, Mr. Speaker, when people are studying at various educational institutions, people are just acquiring papers. But they don't have knowledge. This is the biggest problem. Many people across the world, the so-called educated people, have papers, but have no knowledge. And when they lack knowledge, when they lack knowledge, the elites will say you are not skilled. What is the purpose of obtaining knowledge from a university which does not translate into having a job?
Or having a skill?
Because they say you are educated, but you are not skilled. Meaning, you have papers, but the papers you have are not enough to give you jobs. Now, I want to use all of you to hear this. The richest people in the world, can I repeat this? The richest people in the world are entrepreneurs. The richest people we have in the world are entrepreneurs.
Not professor.
Not professors.
Not doctor.
Actually, I was shocked to see a professor here having money in the pocket. But you ask a man like Kashaya,
Maybe that's all he has.
I don't know, maybe he's Pakistani, he's Pakistani at the university. Mr. Speaker, sir, people are looking for employment in wrong sectors. Every day people are looking at people. The minister you are going to ask for a job, his hands are tied. But ask Kashaya, who is a farmer. There are many jobs, Mr. Speaker, in the entrepreneurship sector. There are many jobs in agriculture. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to just take you through where the opportunities for these young people are. In Brazil, they earn more than 125 billion US dollars from agricultural export.
Brazil
alone. Now, ask yourself, you the scholars, Africa endowed by nature. Uganda here, the best fertile soil, the best climate, surrounded by waters. Why can't a population that is energetic, that is educated, that cannot produce? In other words, Mr. Speaker, you have and productive energetic youth.
Population.
Population.
Their job is secret eat.
Because when you tell them to go,
anything what they are not producing.
when you tell them to go to agriculture, it's like telling a Muslim to eat the other thing.
Which you don't eat yourself.
Let me hope I'm not annoying anyone here.
No, you don't.
Mr. Speaker,
First of all, you also hate that thing.
let me tell you, a country like Uganda that is investing money in agriculture, including projects like PDM. You know, when we start such the things, some people start thinking this is Museveni's project. We are talking about having what we call money economy. Money economy is when you give money to people and make them productive. That's what they call money economy. Mr. Speaker, what will happen in 10 years? At the village level, people having $1 billion shillings. Most of these commercial banks that have been actually exploiting Ugandans by the highest rate will collapse. Do you know what it will mean? It will mean that people who have utilized this money with no charges at village level will be millionaires. But people don't want to go and ask for this money. And by the way, what people don't know, every financial year 100 million that goes to parish level does not come back to the treasury. It remains there. This is your money. So, Mr. Speaker, for the first time in the history of this country, I'm crediting the president of this republic. For the first time. This is the way to go in Africa. Don't give money to hyenas. Give money to people because it's theirs. The other time, Mr. Speaker, I was training, I'm an HR by profession. Yes, I'm summarizing. I was training people who are traveling abroad. I asked them, you are looking for an international job. Do you look like an international person? Because you are willing to compete with other players. These are international markets. Now, other things, let me conclude. I told someone, when you have like a small business, at least put on a smile. But some people, instead of smiling, they are smiling. Because of hygiene, poor hygienic conditions. If you know your problem is communication, get a friend who is in data, employ him to be part of it. Don't be selfish. The more you become selfish, those are one of the characteristics of a failure. Mr. Speaker, not until we define ourselves and know where our strength is and use the energies we have, we shall continue lamenting as other countries are moving forward.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
First of all, I thank God for the life that we are all alive and we are here today. First, before I make my comments, I move my speech somewhere, I'll first say thank you to you, Honorable Speaker, for giving young people opportunities. When I saw my colleague, Nkambwe Michael, appointed as the PRO of the Pan-Africanist Pyramid, where we have strong men like Mr. Kashaya, where we have professors, people who've learned a lot and advanced in age, but you chose a young man to be the PRO. And whenever I see you moving with him in offices of big people, showing him what to do, I see a person who is nurturing the next generation. This is one thing that our leaders lack. They lie to us that they are, availing to us opportunities when under the skins they are scheming against us. They show us faces of smiling when we are in conferences and big offices, but when we turn our backs, what comes to their mindset is banabavubuka tubakoledde kibasumbuwa nnyo banoonyezeyo omutwalo ogubateereko kiggwe. They don't have concrete, they don't have concrete issues or ways of helping the young people. And when I talk about young people, I'm talking about 75% of the population of the country. I'm talking about people who pay the most taxes in this country. Because an old man in the village can even sustain life, kalimu kayumba ke, ngaina sabuni okunyo ne sukari, nagenda mu nnimiro n'alima. But a young person, we are driven by living this high-end life. We buy data, we buy airtime, we spend a lot. It means the government earns a lot in the taxes we pay because we are many. So the question comes to the government. These taxes that you get in the 75% of the young people, why don't you reinvest it back to the young people? Because these are the roots of the country. When I was seeing the budget speech, the issue was that I felt somehow happy, but on the other hand, I felt like nothing will be done like before, because 1.1 trillion was given to PDM, Parish Development Model, and the MUBS initiative was given 100 billion, and skilling the youth was given 60 billion. Imagine 60 billion to cater for the 75% of the young people, skilling them. It's good. Is it how they say it in Uganda? So I felt happy, but on the other hand, I knew that before even the budget was read, I think that money was already whisked away by thieves. So it was just reading a document. So my message is that we as the young people, we are innovative enough. And I believe you know that, Honorable Speaker. You've watched when you work with young people like Nkambwe, you've watched when you work with young people like some brothers of mine I see on cameras. When I see my sister, they are all young people, but they are resourceful to you. But they are resourceful because you give them your time, your guidance, and invest in them your knowledge wholeheartedly. You don't scheme behind their backs. But when we look at the leaders of youth right now, whom my brother, Comrade Kashaya, said that they are not even youth, they lie to us and they scheme behind our backs. What they say on the screens of TVs, it is not what they do when they go to their offices. So we are the young people, after knowing that this is how these people are, a question comes back to us also, what have you done? We don't have teamwork as young people. We are scattered. We fear we fear to fight for what belongs to us.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
That were quoted, one of the quotings of the Honorable Matia Kasaija as the budget was being read on job creation. I think this is going to be a very fundamental one in our topical discussion tonight. He says the target of government is to create over 2.5 million jobs in the next 5 years. He continues to say, this will be achieved by effective implementation of the Polish development model, industrialization, wealth creation, and full monetization of the economy.
What's wrong with that?
A very wonderful statement I want to tell you.
Now where is the problem?
The issue comes with the question of implementation. Many of us must have recalled that even before the parish development model, we've had quite a number of youth livelihood programs and empowerment projects that have not worked out. We had the Nkambwe, that did not work out. We had the first phase of Nkambwe, and trust me, poverty increases awesomely. We had the youth livelihood program, and it did not yield a lot of results. We also had the community development association program, and all those did not work. Right, Honourable Speaker, I don't mean to be...
You're not hopeful that this one will work?
I don't mean to be a pessimist, but we only should spill out facts that yes, these programs are there, allocated lots of monies, but how are they implemented? That is the question that we all should be asking ourselves. You see, our generation of young people has been hit hard by economic crisis. First of all, the transition from education into labor market is another very complicated phase. I want to tell you that 1 over 50 youths that you see in a day can find employment in this country. And many of us actually start to believe that our concerns and problems cannot be addressed by politicians. The quality of education we are having right now does not match the trend. You have an education system where intelligence is measured by how much one can remember of the required. From a handout of 200 pages, they set an examination question paper. The sample space is limited. They want you to remember the required. When you get marks that are below, you are termed an idiot, or one does not think. That is not where the intelligence lies. The current trend is intelligence and capability must lie in one's ability to innovate, to invent, to think beyond one's nose.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
Honorable Speaker, in institutions, before you graduate, you are provided to have a project, of which project you need to present and have a proposal of it. And what I can assure you, many youth out there, they are incubating their projects. But what is being done in our institutions, now I want to explain more positive and successful. When you happen to present your project and a proposal, and this project is more interesting, has a good idea, instead they will sign for you and grant you the space of you sitting in a tent and you graduate. But to me, what I would think, if my project was all that so interesting and it could bring that idea you saw in it, if it is useful, why do you take it? Why do you keep it? Because what I've realized is that our lecturers who tend to receive our projects and proposals, what they do, they get these projects and proposals, they solve other people. They leave a lot of students who struggled.
They sell them others.
Yes.
They sell.
They sell. They get the money. They get the money. Now you can see they are about succeeding. They are in succession ages.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
You find that they do programs, but these programs do not benefit people. For example, the Nyonga money that was allocated to 260 billion, now it's 100 billion. They just reduced it. Me, I myself, I applied for that money. We were a group of people. We had a project of group attending. We applied for that money. Up to now, we have never received the response. And let me tell you, when you apply for that money, you pay some amount of money. It's not free. You pay money. You pay those offices.
If you have receipts, you bring them to me.
Yes, I will have them.
You have receipts?
I have them.
That you pay in that office?
I know.
Hey.
When you're in those offices,
Hey.
they don't give you the receipts. I remember in 2000,
at first your statement was that you have the receipts.
no, the evidence I have, is the application I made.
That is okay, but
That's okay, and you pay.
And now you want dividend that you pay.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
So when we do parliamenting, for me, I'm disregarding the information and submissions from those who are lamenting basing on the government. We have seen individuals who can start their smaller businesses even without the support of government, and they prosper. What I'm trying to mean, everyone is talking about youth livelihood, development parish model, MUBS, and Nkambwe. But the problem with the government is one, before they disperse that money to communities, they don't first do needs assessment. They take money to communities, not knowing the problem that is facing a certain community. Even before that, they don't sensitize people. Like currently, the way how they are giving those monies to communities, even if you give a lot of money to someone without skilling that person or sensitizing him, how he or she can get from that depression of poverty to get a certain level where he or she can compete with the rest of the world. I don't think that those programs, they will help us as Ugandans.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
Now, it's time to invite our main panelist tonight, Dr. Ismail Nkambwe. I told you, you have heard those views. I wanted to respond to some of them and make a conclusive remark.
You know, the youth of today, I don't want to make conclusion based on the number which is here, but being able to interact with many, they are disoriented. That's the truth.
Disoriented.
They are disoriented. And two, now the topic was looking at unemployment in Africa, youth unemployment in Africa versus employable skills in the 21st century. When the discussion was open to the audience, everyone was talking about what he or she loves to talk about. That means that there was no focus.
They did not focus on the topic.
They didn't focus on that topic which we are discussing. Because my expectation was that when the audience, actually the discussion was put to the audience, people would be focusing on how can we solve this problem of unemployment.
And lack of employable skills.
Yes. Our discussion could have rotated around unemployment and employable skills. But people are talking about the government. You know, people, there is one thing we have to appreciate, all of us. Let us leave the government. Let us leave the government. The government
and focus on work.
Has a lot of problems. The government has a lot of problems. Let us focus on work. Let us focus on improving ourselves. Look at yourself as Ismail. What do I want to be in the next 5 years? Look at yourself as Peter. What do I want to be in the next 5 years? Understand yourself. If you don't understand yourself, then you focus on lamenting about the government. I assure you, you lament, you get old, lamenting, you die, lamenting.
But you will come back home.
Yes. Personally, let me give you a simple example. Personally, I set my own goals. I said, by this age, I must have a PhD. accord, I got it. You know, like, if you don't set targets, you don't have anything to drive you. That's the youth of today. You know, like me, when I look at the youth, like when there is political rallies, they run around, they beg, they shout, they like say, now, why do the parents waste their money to pay fees for these people? People, as you go back home today, and those ones who are watching us, as you sleep today, try to find out who you are.
As a youth.
As a youth. After finding out who you are as a youth, know where you have passion. Know where you have passion. If you get to know where you have passion, you will put all your energies towards achieving that goal, which goal is in line with your passion. Let us leave the government. Let us focus on developing ourselves. Uganda will be a better country tomorrow, and yourself, you will be admired by many in your society. But if you go ahead to lament, you will not do anything. Somebody talked about the education system. You know, the education system has its own faults. True. But faults from the academia, you know, these European countries, they have various settings. There are those people. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the youth of today, before you decide what to study, first ask yourself, what do I want to be in future? If you want to be a politician, go to that side. I don't want to describe politicians on the national television because people may get me wrong. But if you want to be a farmer, invest a lot in farming. You know, the worst thing today among the youth, they don't want to be in villages. They want to be in Kampala, rotating around, like attending, they are calling what? Actually, last weekend, I was hearing a lot of stupid discussion among the youth. I was somewhere, and I asked, so, who are those people talking about? Everyone was laughing, hey, you people. You mean, doctor, I know these people? I said, who are those ones? The smart, they are singers, smart, they are what? I said, people, you should stand up. You need those ones, they are feeling. Where do you benefit from those people? If you cannot benefit, can you focus on where you benefit? People, last month I was in Bar. I was at MAST. There's a program which is under MasterCard and cyber school. I met people like students from different faculties. But all of the students, those people actually, they amused me. One of them, because we asked them, do you people have businesses? What have you done in your leisure time? One student came up, actually stood up and said that, me, I'm an agriculture engineer. Is it agriculture something? They're doing agriculture in that, in Samara. There are two guys, they were sleeping in the same room. Then they asked themselves, but we are here, after lectures, we just sleep. On weekends, we just sleep. Can't we do something? Then the guy said that they didn't have money, but they collected some little money to the tune of 80,000 Ugandan shillings. 80,000 Ugandan shillings. They went out, got land near around that side of Kaberebere. They planted Irish potatoes. Because for them they knew, at the university students must take Irish potatoes. The guy said that now, we know next semester, we are going to sell Irish potato to all students in the hostels. Yeah? And for us, we are thinking that after university, we will not go back to the village just to sit. We may continue with our with our business. But here, people, somebody's telling you, lecturers, they steal our project. Really, is that true? Now, me personally, pursue your project for what? You know, like, there are some things people talk about, which I don't. They're just based on rumors. And personally, I don't like rumors. I want facts. Yeah? You know, when you talk from facts, everyone will listen. I was in Nkambwe last year, towards the end. There was a project we were doing an evaluation. That project is, it was empowering youth about entrepreneurship and leadership. But those people who were involved in that project, there was a component of saving. We are trying to find out, do these people really save?